Joining me now is Tim Head, Executive Director for the Faith and Freedom Coalition. Tim, great to have you on the show tonight. 64% of Iowa caucus goers identify as evangelical. You are a voting bloc that is a powerhouse. But for the first time in years, evangelicals in Iowa have not coalesced around a single candidate. Why not?
Well, I think you have an unusual situation here where you don't exactly have a true incumbent. It's almost like a quasi-incumbent. So there's something of a competition that's happening, even though one certainly comes with a leg up because of not only having been obviously in the White House and President Trump, but also having a record that has strongly attracted evangelical voters across the country. So there's in some ways it's kind of a back to the future kind of race here, because we had a strong candidate with a strong record, but you also have two other candidates, particularly right now, in DeSantis and Haley, who themselves have something of records because they both been governors. And so there's a bit of an unusual situation that's kind of happened, that sort of coalesced or congealed here in Iowa. That's a bit unprecedented.
Right. Well, not all evangelicals say they're sold on Trump, and that might be part of the issue. One Iowa pastor said, quote, he's backpedaled, it seems, on the issue of life. Trump was saying that the heartbeat law is a horrible thing. Well, we're Iowans. We just signed that into law, and we're celebrating that as evangelicals. So do you think in some cases Trump's stance or changing stance on abortion is hurting him with Iowa evangelicals?
Well, I think it's a very fair question, and honestly one that was probably a calculated one on his front. I think that you could certainly make that argument from our perspective at Faith and Freedom Coalition. We certainly love not only the Dobbs decision coming out from the Supreme Court, but also the actions from various states, including here in Iowa, that Governor Reynolds and the legislature led. Well, I think that him kind of taking a little bit of an exception with some of the state's responses there, we actually support that, and I think that he's having to make kind of some strategic approaches, particularly probably as it relates to the general election and general constituencies that may actually cause some pause, at least among some evangelical voters for the primaries.
Right. Well, the top issues for evangelical voters in Iowa are life, their gender issues, the border, Israel. Explain why these issues are so important to that constituency in Iowa.
Well, I think one way to think of it is I think evangelical voters look for biblical worldview within a constitutional framework, okay? And so I think that when it comes to certainly issues related to life, to marriage, to religious liberty, also to Israel, by the way, there's strong biblical teachings. And then we also have long both theological as well as political traditions around those. And so those are probably the most animating issues. But then we have kind of more contemporaneous issues like the kind of gender-related challenges and how that the implications that has for school choice, for instance. So they're kind of like modern applications or implications for these long-standing biblical issues, and I think that that's where we're kind of seeing the rubber meet the road a little bit right here in Iowa and probably in South Carolina as well.
Governor DeSantis has not only the governor of Iowa at his side campaigning, but a really big evangelical, the endorsement of a big evangelical leader. He's worked hard to get evangelical support. He's gone to more than a dozen church services in Iowa. He's quoted scripture on the stump. He signed into law a 6-week abortion ban. So why isn't he polling higher? I mean, Trump right now is beating him among evangelical voters in Iowa. Why?
Well, like we talked about earlier, I think that by all means, I think DeSantis has a very strong leg to stand on when it comes to social conservative issues. But one of the keys, I think, for all evangelicals is that Trump does have certainly his own very strong record when he was in the White House, and also there's really no question that he absolutely will fight for these kind of faith-based principles and policies, and I think that it should be understood at least by viewers that a lot of evangelical voters are very comfortable and confident both in Trump as well as in DeSantis and in Haley.
Thanks. Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.